How you doing? Back to our 6100 Makita project. Okay, in the last video, hopefully you've seen it. I give you the numbers of what it was before we started porting. Now, with the intake at 158 for total opening, that's pretty close to a personal rule of 160. That rule can be moved some. Don't do it until you really understand two strokes. And I'll tell you why. Is you develop problems if you aren't increasing your compression greatly. And then even if you are, sometimes you have problems. Under 160 is better. A lot of saws I build, quite honestly, that you see running even on other people's channels, intake's 155 for total opening. I'll tell you that right now. For me, the secret to horsepower, where it starts, is in the transfers. If you have the right transfer timing, and ample opening coming out of the cylinder, it has to freely move air. This is what today's about for me, right here, is trying to show you this, and what I do about it. It has to come out of the bottom of that saw up into the lower transfers freely. It can't be obstructed. I showed you how close it was on the deck height last time. And I explained that we were going to remove a little bit of the bridge on the transfers. You know, the bottom part of the cylinder on the inside of the transfers is what we're going to remove. Our exhaust timing does need to move a bit. Now, always keep in mind when you're raising the roof of your exhaust timing, because that's where you take it off, you go too far, you've greatly reduced your compression. A lot of saws have more than enough. That it's worth it. For a production logging saw, compression isn't really what comes into play. If you're trying to squeeze the last ounce of horsepower out of a saw, yeah, you got to think about that. This isn't what we do here. Not as a rule. We are going to be doing that, and we actually have a little bit. But, so, what we need to do is, I've taken some detailed pictures, and we're going to continue to take actual photos to put into another video on this saw build. I'll probably throw that in after we get the saw up and running, and do a second porting video on this particular saw. This is a very modern saw. The numbers are very accurate. Honestly, they really are. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely, guaranteed. Even once you've hit your numbers and you've got them really where it's optimum for two-stroke, you still have to think about flow. You got to think about intake flow, flow through the transfers, flow through the exhaust. Flow is king right now on this saw. 61cc saw, we're going to make it a logging saw. Oh yeah, come on. Big gains to be had there. And we're going to get them. We're going to get them. This saw is rated for a 20-inch bar. We're going to use a 24 on it when we run this. And you will see it. It is a straddle saw, which you guys all know that. Okay, so the first thing I need to do, I'm just going to talk along, and I'm going to show photos, but let me work on this exhaust with you. This might be 2 or 3 part video just because of what's going on here, but I can't show you as accurately doing this as I can in a video. I don't think. It's very difficult to see what that shape is, but the pictures will show you. So let me get going here. Okay, the first thing I need to do is a little bit of correction. And I guess the first thing I actually need to do is plug in my Dremel. So let's do that. My little block of wood. I set my saws on this little block, just a little piece of rough cut, 2-inch thick. It's a 6-inch wide piece. When I got my degree wheel on this bench. So, first thing I need to do is get my light. I had to use a slightly smaller tool for diameter than I normally do, so I'll probably have to increase the RPMs. I don't know. I know one thing. It's important to get where you can see good. You don't do this without that. This particular saw does not need anything removed much in any particular area. And that's going to be a little bit of cylinder on and off stuff, which I'll probably show some of it, probably when we get to the end. That should get me fairly close. Just a little bit more in one spot. We have an interesting cylinder here. It seems to be about one of the nicest ones to cut that you ever seen. I still got one little spot. I like my exhaust fairly D-shaped, honestly. And now, normally, I don't like to see an exhaust widened any. We're going to do just a little bit. I'm going to show you this in pictures. Okay, I've got that right where I want. That fast. Like I said, you aren't, in this particular build, if you've never ported one before, don't start on this saw. I'm guaranteeing you that. You'll have trouble. You learn fast that sometimes a little bit is a whole lot. It really is. I'm going to try to show you what my shape is, and we'll back it up in another video with the pictures and stuff. But I widened it on the inside, not on the outside. See? See that where I cut that? Same thing on that side. See that noticeable D shape? The top of the roof is round. All my corners are round. Square corners will give you fits. They'll get you, that's what gives you all your abrasion, you know, at the marks in your cylinders, square corners. Round them, okay? Now, you see that ledge there on the bottom? That's where that muffler insert goes, which I'm going to get this back out of my box and show you that again. This piece right here. But something I haven't never shared on video is sometimes in the exhaust on the bottom, you can't cut the bottom of your exhaust because you'll end up with free porting. What that means is your cylinder, your piston will let air through. But I'll tell you what I do. There is occasions where I want to and will make this little ledge you see right there. See that ledge on the bottom? It's all the way around, but coming back from the cylinder, I'll actually drop that floor of that sometimes. Okay? And that does help the opening. Now, I could have put timing in this piston, and I'm not going to. It doesn't need it. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, because I'm happy with that exhaust, I'll tell you that right now. My intake genuinely needs some attention. Not to make it bigger, but for flow. I don't know if this will help or not. Let me try. Nope. Boy, I tell you. Okay, that's not a big opening. And I don't say make that big either. I'm saying make that where that flows. So let me get that done. Okay, I've got that roughed in nicely. Good enough to put the cylinder on. But let's take a look at this. Hopefully I don't medium my light here. I'm going to run off my light, but I don't think we need it. Okay, there's the roof of the exhaust right there. You'll notice this is kind of my trademark on some saws. Them little notches in the corners of the roof and the intake, leave that bridge in there. Don't mess with that. And leave this rough. Okay, I'm going to show you the bottom. We widened that slightly to the sides here and here slightly. We did very little, just clean up right here on the bottom. This is the material you take off, which is on the bottom of the cylinder right there, like that. That line right there. Very little. I made that a little more straight across because that was quite oval, but I like the timing in the center. So what we're doing is looking for flow. We're not looking for big. The size of your intake dictates how much area this should be. I don't mind it slowing down just a little, but I'd really like to keep the speed up. If you make this really big and your intake small, it comes into this and just kind of billows. It doesn't do much. And this little tongue is going to force that air down into that crankcase. That's what we're looking for. The next step on this whole project is going to be taking down the bridge, which is this spot right here. Because when you look across there, that cylinder's flat and there's very little room. That's all the area you got to get air up through them transfers. Obviously, the cylinder's upside down. So we got to take and remove a little bit of this area right here. So let's do that. Okay. We have taken this area down. You can see from the edge here to here, we've made a larger path for the air to go through into the transfer. There's the stock one. So there wasn't very much there from the mounting surface to where the air goes in. Okay, this is a smaller saw. You've seen me in the 372s, and then even in bigger saws go even much, much further as far as opening that area up. But think smaller saw. Everything's a ratio. What works? Is it going to hurt if I get too big? Probably not. But you know what's nice is just right. That's what's nice. Now what we're going to do is start some of the port work. And the first thing I know is right around this gasket area, there is a slight amount that can be taken off to match to the gasket. The gasket actually matches very nicely to the saw. Okay, this is where we're at. You see, I've actually blended it down a little ways, but we've got that where when you put the gasket on, that matches that quite nicely. Okay, that's really nice. I had a small scribe line there, but it didn't show up in the video. But what I did was just kiss that scribe line just with a scribe, and I've started into my transfer. And you can already see that the stock one, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's starting in a really nice direction. Now, the next thing is, I didn't mean this to actually be a how to port video, but you see that wide band there? We're going to reduce that some, okay? That's the next step. Okay. We have reduced that band, which is right there. Remember, when we cut it down, it got quite wide. We've reduced that, starting in the cylinder, just like we did here. Okay, so we are definitely gaining ground. Like I said, this is not a saw you're removing just gobfuls, because the design was old enough that they didn't really, wasn't looking for perfection. This saw, they had it down pretty good already, and we're just making it better is what we're doing. But there's where we start. That allows me now, because I opened that area up and that area, to get my tooling in here where I actually can do something. I'm wanting more volume down here on the bottom. That's what we're looking for. Okay, other than a little bit of dressing up, what we've got is, I'll show you the stock one. The shape. And then there's that one. Okay. We are definitely have got some decent size there, which is appropriate for the size saw. Okay. This one you can see is much more restricted than this one. We have something interesting here. I'm a little taken back by it. We got mail came. We have something in the mail from Custom Chainsaw Parts. And I'm not sure what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this. What do you think? An unboxing in the middle of a video? Will that work? Just like Christmas, ain't it? Let's see what it is. I can't wait to run this saw, honestly. I really can't. Oh, okay. I know what we got here. Yes, sir, I do. This is going to open up a whole new can of wax here. Okay. I tell you what is in this. This is a muffler for Slammer. I think it's a 361 steel. MS361. Is that what it is, buddy? Okay, what we're going to do, and we'll do this one on video probably, is we're going to do a muffler mod. Nothing crazy, not trying to get it crazy loud or get top shelf performance. These mufflers are restrictive. We're gonna do this mod on video. It just won't be today. Okay, so we got a part. I love it. So now what I gotta do, I'm gonna just set that in the corner. And we're gonna go back into this. Okay, now something I can't show you on video, but this line right in here all the way down through was straight. What I done was I just kind of ovaled that on the outside, down inside there, and I did the same thing here. You can see it was real wide here and real wide here. I wanted just a little more distance. And I want that to taper down, going to the floor, where the air turns going into the transfers. I wanted that tapered kind of like this, but a little bit of oval shape so that we can get some good flow. That's what we're trying to do. I actually, other than just a little cleanup, we got to do some cleanup, and the exhaust needs just a little bit. It needs just a tiny bit, but it looks really nice. Well, I got one little spot there I want to do something with, but I might as well do that when I'm talking to you guys, hadn't I? Maybe I should show you the entrance of the exhaust. See that? That's just about what it looks like. I didn't take a lot. I didn't raise that roof a lot. I didn't have to. But you can see right there and right there on the inside, I made it wider than I did the outside. Okay? Shaped like that, coming from the piston, goes like this. And it's oval on the top, relatively flat on the bottom. My corners are nice and rounded. When you do that, you're not going to get near the marks on your cylinder for your piston. Square corners will give you marks on your piston and also on your cylinder. You'll see just a little bit. Not that that's a problem. I just try to avoid it. Okay, another thing, when you look at the tool, this is a double bevel. When you look at that, them teeth aren't very big, okay? They can't take only a tiny chip. So when you put a lot of pressure on your tooling, you're filling the gullet of each where it forms a chip, just like a chainsaw, okay? It's like dogging in too hard. You're filling that. You're trying to let it form a chip from the edge of where it cuts, let it curl it out. You'll find out that if you start going a little easier, take a little more time, just nice little strokes, that number one, your tooling don't load up. If your tooling's loading up, you're going too fast. If it's chattering, you're going too slow on your speed of your tooling. Okay, that's something that's important. I forget to mention things like this. I'm trying real hard to get this straight for you guys. I guess I ought to make a video just about the tooling at some point, which I will, instead of just mentioning it in bits and pieces. When you let that chip form and curl and go away, it doesn't stick to your tooling. And you'll get a lot nicer finish, right, instantly get a lot nicer finish. When you start gouging and hogging, you're pushing too hard, it'll load the tooling up and then it can't cut and it makes it bump. And then it'll load it up, it'll release, and then it'll load up again. That's what makes it rougher and heck. And another thing, hard spots in your material. When you're going slower in little strokes, you can find them hard spots. And you can work them out. I ran into one right in here in the center. That right in there. That was quite hard. Okay? What I need to do now is I need a little finishing up in the bottom, but this is time to go to the other side and start grinding and to hit our targets. But if that makes any sense, you can see a definite difference. See how this side's real square inside and this side's beveled? You know, not a lot. I didn't want to break through that outside skin, and I didn't want to remove too much material on the inside of the cylinder here. I wanted to keep my strength, keep my cylinder round, but get enough out of there where that actually gained flow. I'm not moving my transfers, and I'm not making the entrance of the transfers going in the cylinder bigger. I don't feel the saw needs it. It's going to make good power without all that. In most cases, I don't raise my transfers because I like from exhaust opening to transfer opening as the piston's traveling downwards 24, 25 degrees. That's what I like. If it's 30, I run it. You got to give the exhaust pressure time to get out before your transfer is opening, because if that pressure isn't all the way out, when the air fuel comes into the cylinder from the transfers, it gets contaminated. You're going to have spent exhaust gases stuck in your new charge. That's why you have to have that much separation. And it's really important, honestly. It really is. I'd rather have slower transfer timing anyways, because the piston, it's had time to build just a little more pressure. Okay, just a little more. And it kind of pops and it blooms coming out of that transfers. Okay, this is my thoughts on that. There's much difference between these saws as far as design from all chainsaws. Those of you that are connecting the dots on this, all of a sudden will find out you can be working on a steel MS660, and where the numbers are, or a Husqvarna 372, or an old 266, or whatever, from that era, you'll find similarities in numbers. It's like, well, why is that? Two-stroke principle dictates there's a perimeter that things have to open and close for that to work more efficiently and get more power. Okay? So, a lot of times, you'll see the same exact number from one saw to another when you're done of what I choose. I like 98 degrees on my exhaust opening. 25 degrees later, I like my transfers to open. I like 155 to 157 on my total intake timing. That's what I like. Anything after that is just a bonus. Okay? When you exceed these numbers, you will get a finicky saw. It'll have a tendency, if your exhaust roof is too high, meaning your blowdown starts too early. Let's say you got it at 92 degrees. Oh, you'll have a saw that'll be ring-dingy like you never seen. It'll just zing. It won't have no ass. It won't pull. So you got that. If you exceed your intake timing, like our Blue Thunder, which we're good there, we just got to run it. It starts blowing back air fuel through the carburetor. Well, at RPMs, that just makes that rich and doesn't want to. The air ain't going up through the transfers, it's coming back out the carburetor. If you have your transfer timing too close to your exhaust timing, if where they both open, you get a contaminated charge because what I just told you, and you don't get any horsepower. You can feel it gagging, like it's gasping for breath. You can hear it. It's gasping for breath. So hopefully this little video helps you, and I can see we're going to have 2 more parts to this saw build here, which is fine. We're going to do it because I love you guys. Okay, take care of each other. Don't worry about things in this world we can't control, but pay attention That's one thing I got to say. Pay attention and see how that's going to affect you. Okay, goodbye.